What does it mean to be Spider-Man? Well, recently, the world has learned that anyone can be Spider-Man. Spidey can be a man or a woman, young or old, white, black, a New Yorker, an Englishman, a cat, a pig, a dinosaur, and apparently even a car. Anyone can wear the mask. There seems to be an infinite number of spider people or spider things crawling about in the multiverse. But what binds all of them is a calling. They're all called to be a hero. Each one has been given great power, and with this, a responsibility to use this power for the greater good. But this call to action is a sacrifice. It demands that I give up everything, even my hopes and my dreams, knowing that, despite losing it all, I became something greater. I became Spider-Man. This is our hero's story. He is defined by the lives he has saved and the lives he has lost. But Miles Morales will change everything. He looks at the story written out for him and says, "Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing." This is the heart of Across the Spider-Verse. It's about a boy growing up wanting to write his own story, while the whole world tells him he shouldn't. Across the Spider-Verse asks deep human questions about morality and fate. And in this video, we'll explore how Miles will use these questions to redefine Spider-Man. A desire for change is dangerous. It can lead to instability. It can lead to chaos. In Across the Spider-Verse, Miguel O'Hara understands this risk. He has lived it. In the film, Miguel discovers an alternate dimension where a variant of himself is living the life he has always longed for, being a father. When his variant died, Miguel replaced him, allowing him to finally experience the joy he was barred from. But there's a cost to this. By leaving his home dimension and removing himself from his story, Miguel caused the destruction of his variant's world and everyone in it. So with that in mind, you can only imagine Miguel's dread when Miles shows up. Here's a kid that shows a complete disregard for the Spider-Man narrative. And not only that, he wants to flip the entire script. In the movie, Miles learns that his father is fated to die. Miguel and the rest of the Spider-Men tell him that his dad's death is essential. It is a canon event. Every person called to be Spider-Man must follow through their canon events. These events can be good or tragic. In the end, they're all necessary. They are the nodes that bind each Spider-Man and their worlds together. As we've seen, deviating from your story can lead to catastrophe. And if you break enough canons, the whole multiverse and the people in it will be destroyed. This is why Miles has to let his dad die. He has the choice of saving one person or the entire multiverse. Now, this dilemma brings up a well-known thought experiment called the Trolley Problem. You've probably seen some version of this online, but basically the thought experiment goes like this. You work at a rail yard that has 2 tracks. One track has 5 railroad workers, the other track only has 1. Suddenly, you see a trolley speeding down the track about to collide into the 5 workers. To raise the stakes even higher, you're too far away to warn the workers, and even if you could, they're wearing headgear that prevents them from hearing you or the incoming trolley. Now right in front of you is a lever that when pulled, diverts the trolley and makes it go on to the other track with the lone railroad worker. The trolley is moving at such an incredible speed, a decision needs to be made now. Do you let the trolley kill 5 people, or do you pull the lever and let the trolley just kill 1? Hearing this, you can see how Across the Spider-Verse puts an interesting twist to the trolley dilemma. Instead of a trolley, Miles has the choice to let fate kill his father. This sacrifice will save the multiverse. But if Miles chooses to intervene, the whole multiverse is at risk of collapsing. If you choose to save the multiverse rather than Miles' father, or if you choose to pull the lever in the trolley example, it's likely you align with a philosophy called utilitarianism. In its most basic form, utilitarianism states that an action is morally right or good if it produces the greatest overall happiness and well-being for the people involved, all while trying to minimize as much pain or suffering. So for the utilitarian, pulling the lever is less about killing 1 person, but rather saving 5 people. The death of 1 worker is considered an unintended consequence and leads to another principle in ethics called the doctrine of double effect. The doctrine of double effect states that some actions are considered permissible even if there are harmful consequences. Under this doctrine, an action is only allowed if the intention behind it is virtuous, and the good outcome of the action performed must be proportionally greater than the negative consequences. Your spidey senses should be tingling right now, because what I just said describes Miguel O'Hara. For Miguel, the death of Miles' father pales in comparison to the billions of lives lost if he doesn't die. Now, some of you may be like, well, I wouldn't pull the lever, and I disagree with Miguel. Killing is wrong no matter what, even if it's just one person. If this is you, it's likely you align more with a philosophy called deontology. In this philosophy, actions are inherently right or wrong, regardless of their outcomes or consequences. Morality is based on your responsibility to adhere to moral principles. In the trolley example, a deontologist wouldn't pull the lever because to them, killing is wrong no matter what. So how does Miles respond to this dilemma? In the film, Miles completely goes against Miguel and the rest of the Spider-Men. Instead of sacrificing his father, Miles will do whatever it takes to save him. But do Miles' actions make him a deontologist? I'd say no. You could make the argument that Miguel is a deontologist. For him, sacrificing Miles' father is more than just a numbers game of lives lost and lives saved. It's about his responsibility as Spider-Man. But to Miles, this dilemma shouldn't even exist. He completely rejects how Miguel frames the situation. To him, it's not a matter of saving his father or saving the universe. It's not an either-or solution. Miles believes he can save both. Instead of pulling the lever, Miles would rather jump down onto the track and stop the trolley himself. This moral attitude isn't based on a set of arbitrary rules or by strictly looking at the potential consequences. For Miles, it's about doing what he believes is right. So in my opinion, Miles aligns himself more with a philosophy called virtue ethics. Virtue ethics places moral value on the person doing the action rather than the action itself or its consequences. This philosophy doesn't completely abandon moral rules, but instead places more emphasis on cultivating the character and virtue of the individual. Moral decisions are made not by looking at rules or outcomes, but from looking within. This is all a fancy way of explaining why Miles is gonna do his own thing. But if you think about it, what gives him the right to do this? Consider Miguel's perspective. This kid will destroy everything. And across the Spider-Verse, we learned that Miles is an anomaly. The spider that gave him his powers belonged to someone else from a different dimension. Miles should have never been Spider-Man. To Miguel, Miles is a usurper, masking himself as a hero. Everything he is, and everything he will do, disrupts the established order, breaks the canon, fractures the Spider-Man narrative. With these two characters, a line is drawn, and a duality is created, order and chaos. Destiny has defined who Spider-Man is, and Miguel is telling us to stick to the script. Suffering is woven into the fabric of reality, and it's this thread, this story, that connects all the Spider-Men together. Miles longs to be connected to this story, and at the same time rejects it. Like the ancient heroes of the past, Miles is striving to change his fate, but is instead trapped by its web. The only escape is by severing himself from the narrative, and the result is chaos. Without this story, there is no structure. There is no hero. Spider-Man cannot exist nebulously. He must be defined. To Miguel, Spider-Man is set in stone, a path paved, ready to be followed. But Miles is an artist, and the mantle is a canvas. For him, Spider-Man is malleable, a picture ready to be painted. Miles sees what Spider-Man can be, that he doesn't have to carry the world on his shoulders, that the suffering that binds them is a chain, a weight to be cast away, and that a new connection can be made, one formed out of friendship, love, and life. It'll be interesting to see how the sequel will wrap all of this up. My guess is that we'll see how Miguel and Miles are both right and wrong, and that there'll be some kind of union between their worldviews. But again, this is just my interpretation. What'd you guys think of Across the Spider-Verse? Would you have sided with Miguel or Miles? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like. It helps support the channel. Subscribe and hit that bell icon if you want to see more analysis/philosophical videos like this. Thank you guys again for watching, and until next time. Peace out.